One of the most common things that gets said regarding the NRA, at least in our comment section, is screw them, go to GOA or FPC. And while the sentiment behind that is in the right place, I definitely think it is, I just don't think it's quite that simple. Today, I want to wade through my thoughts on if replacing or fixing the NRA is likely or even possible. I'll explain everything after this. Vertex makes some of the best EDC bags and gear around. Whether you're looking for a backpack, a messenger bag, or maybe something for your pup. They've got features like a rapid access weapon compartment, padded backing, a hot pull tab for quick access to the main compartment, and much, much more. Oh, and did I mention their jeans make my legs look better? Seriously, I can do so many high kicks in these. And guys, if you want to get a huge discount, head over to Vertex, that's VERTX.com, and use our code TGC to get a whopping 25% off everything. Go do it. Welcome back to the Gun Collective. My name is Jon Patton, and you are watching The Fight for Gun Rights. This is a show all about Second Amendment news, and we would love it if you got subscribed, followed us on Instagram, or just left a like on this video. This is a topic that you guys asked me to expand on from TGC News this past week. My intent with this video is to walk you through the nuances in my brain surrounding the topic of fixing the NRA. It seems every time something happens with them, someone in the comments will ask if it's possible, or maybe suggest that it is definitely possible to replace them with another pro-gun group. I believe that people see this sort of as a way to save the Second Amendment. Before we get into it, I want to clearly state that I firmly believe that the NRA needs to be gutted from the top down. The current leadership and their cronies are a boat anchor on the group and need to be cut loose. So please do not mistake my comments here as support for that group in any way, but rather a sort of 30,000-foot perspective of the current situation. Now, with that said, let's first establish the players in the game. The old balls in the group is the NRA. The NRA was founded in 1871. They've been around for about 150 years. That is substantial. Then we have Firearms Policy Coalition. If I have my figure correct, it was founded in 2014. Arguably the newest kid on the block. I'll refer to them as FPC. Then we have Gun Owners of America, or GOA, founded in 1976. They're sort of the middle-aged one. Those are the three groups that I'm going to be focusing on for this video. There are others like National Association for Gun Rights and Second Amendment Foundation, but quite frankly, I don't think they hold the relevance to you guys that these others do. The first angle I want to approach this from is simply what these groups do. The NRA has, depending on your perspective, a huge lobbying presence in DC and across the country. The NRA ILA, or Institute for Legislative Action, is essentially their lobbying arm. In case you aren't up to speed, lobbying is basically trying to convince politicians to go for a certain cause. They also have a legal side of things, and one of the largest parts is the firearms training sector of their business. This is kind of what the NRA was founded on, education, right? In the middle of all that is about 40 billion pounds of bloat, fear-mongering, Chinese merchandise, half-baked ideas and programs, and fundraising. That last part is quite important. By comparison, the FPC is largely a legal approach to gun rights issues. They are suing everyone. They also have a really strong social media presence, largely due to their sort of crass approach, aligning with a younger audience. Their fundraising efforts are decent from what I've seen. And rounding out our group is the Gun Owners of America. GOA has done a lot of building over the last decade or so in regards to their lobbying efforts, and they've also done their share of legal battles, at least recently. Not sure on their track record over the last 4 decades. So basically what you have are two smaller groups that only, at least currently, do part of what the NRA does or pretends to do. That being said, it would be unlikely for these groups to just swoop in and replace the NRA overnight. If the NRA were to go away like the New York State Attorney General wants, the void left behind would be nearly impossible to fill overnight. The main reason I say that is sort of my second angle of approach on this issue, the size of these organizations. Now, I don't have exact membership counts, but the NRA claims to have like 5.5 million members, which, by the way, is only about 1.7% of the US population. The GOA, according to Wikipedia, has around 100,000 members. That is about 1.8% of what the NRA reportedly has, and about 0.3% of the US population. I was unable to track down exactly how many members FPC has, but I'm betting that it's nowhere near NRA's stature. Based on those numbers alone, it would be nearly impossible to grow fast enough to hit those NRA numbers. It's not like you're going to flip a switch and suddenly millions of people are members of these groups. It's just not happening. In my opinion, that is largely because of the tenure that the NRA has in the gun industry and gun community. They've been around forever and have been sort of the obligatory group to sign up with in gun shops across the country. When you see newer gun owners at the range, most of the time, if they're wearing a political-based hat, they're wearing not an FPC or GOA hat, but rather an NRA hat. Nearly every gun shop I've ever been in has had some sort of NRA membership sign-up available. When people think of guns in the United States, they think of NRA, and that is quite simply not going to be changed overnight. It's just not like, again, you can't flip a switch and have people's perspective change. Another angle I'd like to look at this from is audience demographics. From my perspective, both the FPC and GOA have had the largest part of their growth in recent years due to social media. Whether that's being connected with influencers or suing everyone under the sun, or sort of a mix of both, I firmly believe that is why these groups have relevance in our GunTube community. That being said, there is still a huge portion of American gun owners that aren't actively involved in social media, so they might not have any idea what is happening besides what they're seeing on TV or being told at the gun shop. If someone has never heard of a gun rights group, how could they possibly support it? This also ties into the FUD community, the old dudes that have been shooting since before I was born. The type of dude that gets mad if you shoot a semi-auto on a trap field because that's not how he's done it for the last 40 years. That kind of dude is exactly who these younger groups need to reach, and that's not an easy task unless they start spending, a metric load on sending out mailers or offering camo trucks for giveaways, right? Even further along, look at the training and educational side of the NRA, sort of the core of where it started or where we want it to be, right? There are thousands upon thousands of NRA certified instructors out there. Regardless of how good they are, they've got the established guidelines, standards, and different training programs for everything from concealed carry to basic handgun and rifle shooting. None of the other gun rights groups, at least the ones we're talking about, have that right now. That sort of educational outreach and brand indoctrination is just not present from the other groups. That's not a slight against them, it's just a point of comparison. Another point of comparison is public and political perspective. A lot of people see NRA as the gun rights group. We kind of talked about that a little bit earlier. Because of that, a lot of stuff is focused on them and defeating them and bringing them down, and that takes the limelight off of the other groups doing positive 2A work. If the NRA wasn't acting as sort of a political bullet sponge, things could be a bit different on our side. Yet another thing to consider is the ability to raise money. This again goes towards the deep roots NRA has in the gun world. So many people, businesses, entities, whatever, by default, give money to the NRA. There are also membership fees for anyone doing sort of an annual thing with them. That is substantial, and quite frankly, the other groups can't hold a candle to that kind of funding generation. It's not close. The NRA is so deeply ingrained in gun culture here in the US that replacing them quickly is just not something that I believe is possible. It is entirely possible to replace them or fix them, but not without a boatload of money and time. Something I'm not sure we have right now. I mean, it's almost as if people are so desperately wanting a Second Amendment savior that they'll try to get everybody on board with this one group, and I'm not sure one group is going to do it. One group is not going to save us all. We, as a community, have to save ourselves. If the NRA was suddenly to dissolve or go away, there would certainly be a big void but that void wouldn't fill in overnight. And let's also take a step back and remember what we're talking about right now is all under the assumption that FPC and GOA actually want to replace the NRA. That might not even be their goal. Maybe something we can do, if you guys want to see it, is talk to the heads of FPC, GOA, and maybe some of these other groups and see what their perspective is on that very topic. I'm sure we could get them to come on and share that with you guys. Let me know if you want to see that happen. Also, I am very, very curious to hear your thoughts on this topic, guys. Do you think that I'm wrong? Is there something that I'm missing? Please point it out. I would love to have a conversation about it. Let's get some discussion going down in the comment section below. If you want to support the channel, and I would love that, please check out our sponsor that I mentioned earlier in the video. Vertex is rad, and you get a huge discount. Also, if you wouldn't mind, please hit the like button on this video so the algorithm doesn't bury this news. And don't forget to get subscribed and ring the bell as well if you're on Instagram. Follow us over there. And as always, thank you all for watching. We'll see you soon.